When the world goes quiet, when the clamor of voices, the rush of movement, the endless hum of expectation and demand finally fades into stillness, it is not emptiness that greets us, but presence. A presence we have long forgotten, or perhaps never truly met. For in the noise of life, we learn to live outside ourselves, chasing echoes of approval, distraction, purpose, and meaning. We fill our days with motion, as if activity alone could answer the silent questions that linger behind our eyes at night. But when silence comes, and it always does, whether we invite it or it arrives unbidden, we are left alone with the only voice that has ever truly known us, the one that speaks from within. It is strange how silence frightens us, not the kind that rests between two spoken words, but the deep, unwavering hush that settles over a soul when all else has gone still. In that hush, the mind begins to stir, not with thoughts, but with feelings too long buried beneath the weight of daily survival. There is no escaping them then. No screen to scroll, no conversation to lose oneself in, no music to drown out the truth. Only the echo of your own breath and the slow unfolding of what you have carried without ever naming. We fear silence because it reveals what we cannot ignore. It unmasks the illusion that we are whole simply because we appear so on the surface. Silence asks nothing of us except honesty, and honesty can be painful. It brings forth memories we thought we had let go of, emotions we convinced ourselves were resolved, wounds we believed had healed but still ache under certain lights. Yet in this pain lies a peculiar tenderness, a reminder that to feel deeply is not weakness, but the essence of being human. There is a sacredness in silence that few speak of. It is not the absence of God, nor the void of meaning, but rather the space where the divine speaks in whispers too subtle for hurried hearts to hear. When we stop speaking over our own souls, we begin to listen, not just to ourselves, but to something greater than ourselves. That listening is not passive. It is an act of surrender. It is standing barefoot on the earth and realizing that the ground beneath you has always been solid, even when your heart trembled. Solitude, too often mistaken for loneliness, is not abandonment, but return. It is the journey back to the center, where all the scattered pieces of the self wait patiently to be gathered once more. Loneliness is the ache of feeling unseen, unheard, unknown. Solitude is the choice to sit with yourself until you remember who you are beyond roles, beyond masks, beyond the stories you tell to fit into the world. In solitude, we do not lose ourselves. We find ourselves again, like a traveler returning home after a long and winding road. And what is the voice that speaks in silence? It is not loud, not commanding, not urgent. It does not shout, but waits. It is the voice of memory, of longing, of wisdom that predates every lesson we have learned. It is the echo of our deepest truths, shaped by love, loss, joy, and sorrow. It does not offer solutions but understanding. It does not promise certainty but peace. This voice does not need to convince you of anything. It only needs you to be still enough to hear it. In the stillness, we begin to see that healing is not about fixing, but about facing what we have hidden, denied, buried. Healing is the gentle act of allowing everything we are to simply be, without judgment, without correction. It is in silence that we meet our wounds not as enemies, but as old friends who have suffered in silence long enough. And in meeting them, we begin to understand that they are not stains upon our soul, but sacred scars that mark the depth of our living. The world teaches us to seek validation in noise, to believe that worth is measured in applause, in likes, in recognition. But silence reminds us that we are already enough, not because of what we do, but because of what we are. A soul breathing beneath the sky, a heart beating in rhythm with the universe, a life unfolding moment by moment, even when no one is watching. Stillness, then, is not escape. It is not retreat from the world, but reconnection with the source from which all action must flow. From silence, clarity arises, not as a sudden revelation, but as a soft knowing that settles into the bones. It is not dramatic, but deep. It is not loud, but lasting. Spiritual clarity is not found in spectacle, but in simplicity. In the breath, in the pause between thoughts, in the space between heartbeats. And so, when the world grows quiet, and it will again and again, do not run from it. Do not fill the silence with sound just to avoid its gaze. Sit with it. Let it hold you. Let it teach you. Let it remind you that you are not alone, even when no one else is near. The silence is not empty. It is full of you, full of life, full of the presence that has been with you all along. Return there often, not as a stranger, but as a guest welcomed home. Because in the end, it is not the noise that defines us, but the silence from which we emerge. And in that silence, we discover that we have never truly been lost. We were only waiting to hear ourselves again.